Good morning, welcome to Pecan Corner. I'm Tina, and today we're going to make lobster hash for brunch. Alrighty. Well, Kroger had lobster tails on sale for $6 each a while back, so I bought 4 of them and put in the freezer. And I cooked 2 for our anniversary. We had steak and lobster tail, and there's a video about that. But I deliberately bought 4 because Paul found a recipe for something called lobster hash that we wanted to try, and so it's the Sunday after our anniversary, so I'm going to make this for our brunch today. I'm gonna I'll peel those, but what it is it's a base of fried potatoes with lobster around it, warmed lobster, and poached eggs, all topped with Hollandaise sauce. I cheat. I make my Hollandaise with a mix. If you just add a tablespoon or so of lemon juice to it, it tastes delicious. Also, you can make it in advance and it holds great. So I'm going to make up my sauce mix right now, and then it'll be done while I'm getting everything else together. Right, to make our sauce mix, we're going to use 1 cup of milk and a 1/4 cup of margarine. So let's get a cup of milk here. There's a cup there. Alrighty. Now I'm going to stir my mix into the milk. With my whisk. And then I'm going to add the butter, and I'm going to heat and shoot, now I'm stuck here. Hold on. Add the butter and just bring it to a simmer, and that's it as far as the Hollandaise goes. Add a little lemon juice once it's completed. So I'll be right back as we go. Alright, next step is I'm gonna chop my potatoes into nice small cubes. You can use any kind of potatoes. These are just the potatoes that I have on hand. There we go. Don't want them too small, but not as big as home fries either. There we go. Just a nice little maybe 3/4 inch cube. So let me get all these cubed up and get them frying. I'm going to fry them up in bacon fat. Okay, now I'm back. I'm heating my fat. I save when I fry up our bacon and I use our hog gel, I save my fat. I usually do all of it at once in the oven on cookie sheets, and then I save my fat, and I just store this in the refrigerator, and so it keeps really nicely. My grandmothers and my mother they didn't bother putting it into the cold. They just always kept a container of it sitting out. But I do put it in the fridge, just mainly to keep the odors out of my kitchen. Our kitchen and living area are kind of all open to each other, so I kind of keep those odors down in the kitchen that way. All right, I'm going to saute and brown my potatoes and get them completely done, and that's going to be my base. Our Hollandaise sauce is completely finished now, and it's just going to sit there on the side of the stove, and then I'll warm it up a little bit right before I serve. I'll be back when the potatoes are done. All right, while my potatoes are frying, I've removed the shell from my lobster. Paul suggested that I store it in the fridge with the shell on to keep it moisture while we waited. Lobsters are just like shrimp. They have a dark vein that runs down the center of them. So when you split them open, you just pull that little vein out just like you would on shrimp. And I'm just going to loosely cube it just into, I just separated each lobster tail into half lengthwise, and now I'm just going to cut it into a small cube here, big enough that we can still get a nice bite of lobster. All right, there's that little chunk. I don't know what that was. We don't want that on the end. There we go. All right, now I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to warm this in a skillet, and before I put it together. But so right now I'm going to set it aside. Put this stuff all aside, and now I'm going to poach my eggs, but I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to use a very old-fashioned method, and I guess a lot of restaurants do this still today. I'm going to I'm going to strain my eggs, and so I'm going to strain that watery bit off of the eggs before I put them into boiling water. Now I'm not going to cook them until my potatoes are done, but I want you to see the straining process, so I'm going to go ahead. Okay, I'm going to do 3 eggs, and I'm putting them into separate bowls because I need to pour them into my water separately. If you're very adept at pouring your eggs separately, you're welcome to put them all in the same bowl, but I don't want to make mistakes this morning. So I'm going to start by straining out. I'm just going to crack each egg. These are my dad's eggs, by the way. He and my stepmom and friend raised chickens, and see, I'm going to let all that loose, watery part of the white drain out. And this is what's going to keep the egg, when I drop it into the boiling water, kind of intact in a nice shape. Just let this kind of all drain out through my strainer. And this is just a regular tea strainer. Don't need any special equipment for it. That's another little secret. You know, we watch restaurant cooks on YouTube or in some of these shows, and you watch the utensils and the tools that they use for things. They don't have a lot of specialized equipment. Yes, they have some really fancy things like their salamander and things like that. But when it comes down to basic work tools, they don't use a special egg poaching pan, which I have, and which doesn't work well. And they don't use a lot of those kinds of things. So this is really simple. They're going to use a saucepan of water and a strainer. So that's that one's pretty good. Just pour it right into there. And see, there's still some that remains on the strainer, and that's fine too. Now there's 1 egg. I'm going to make 3 eggs, 2 for Paul and 1 for me. This is one of the very few ways that I like eggs without the yolk cooked hard. Normally I'm not a big fan of egg yolk. One of the other ways I like it is if I'm going to have it with grits. Yummy. I love grits and eggs together. These eggs are very fresh, so you're not seeing a whole lot of this liquid pouring out. If you're using store-bought eggs, you may have a whole lot of the white drip out of it. But these are still very fresh, so that the albumin is still very much intact. I think that's what that's called, isn't it, Paul? Yeah. Paul, what if you didn't have lobster? What other kinds of meat would be good with this dish?
Shrimp.
Crab meat, maybe?
Crab meat would be good, yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't have lobster, which we're not going to have very often, you could do this with shrimp or crab meat. I wonder if what about smoked salmon? Would that be good with it?
Sure.
So see, you can, yeah.
Anything that would go good with Hollandaise would be good.
Okay. So did you hear that? Paul said anything that would go good with Hollandaise would be tasty with this. So if you don't have lobster, or if you don't like lobster, I know some people think it's really sweet and they don't care for that. Try something else. Try crab or shrimp or even smoked salmon. All right, there's my eggs ready to go when I am. And they'll sit there and wait until the last minute when I get ready to cook them. All right, be back in a few minutes. All right. Oh yeah, our potatoes are done. Nice and soft and lightly browned. Let's set them aside, covered. I'm bringing my water to a boil there with a little bit of vinegar in it. I've just got a saucepan of water, and that's for my eggs. But before I do those, I'm going to leave that on warm. I'm going to lightly brown my, or not brown, but warm up the lobster. I don't want to brown it or put color on it. I just want to warm it up in some butter here. Get our butter melted. Okay. Go. And I don't need to season the lobster because the Hollandaise sauce over it will give it a nice touch of seasoning. And of course, it was seasoned and with a little paprika when I broiled it. Alright, so I'm going to take a couple of minutes and get the lobster done. Alright, my lobster's warm. Now I'm going to bring my water up to the front. I'm going to set my little pan of Hollandaise just on that warm burner. I think that'll probably warm it up enough. Okay, turn my... Oops, just need it on low. Alright, now I'm going to drop get my slotted spoon ready for pulling them out with. And I'm going to start making my plates up. Let me get everything arranged here so that I can put this together all at once. We ready? Here we go. Let's put our eggs in. There's one. There's two. I'll do mine last. Give them just a minute or two, couple of minutes to. Let me bring the camera over here and I'll show you. There, you can see how they look inside there. They're just doing great. I'm gonna give them time for the whites to cook completely, but I don't want to cook the yolks. So I'm going to give them about 2 minutes. Got a little bit of potato skin in there from my from my spoon. I made the mistake and stirred the potatoes with my slotted spoon. Alright, now my potatoes are nearly done, so I'm going to start dishing up Paul's plate here. I'm going to start with a pile of the potatoes. Nice circle of potatoes on the plate. Alright, next I'm going to take some lobster and put pieces of it around the edges. And we have plenty of lobster, so I don't have to scrimp on it. I can give Paul lots of lobster. If you only have a little lobster, you can just use a few small pieces of it. It's going to be plenty rich as it is. There we go. All right, now I'm going to pull my eggs out, put them on top. All right, and my Hollandaise over the whole thing. And Paul likes lots of Hollandaise, doesn't he, dear? He's involved in something, so he's not hearing me talking to him in here. Okay, there we go. All right, there we are. See a beautiful plate. Now let me take this into Paul, and we'll hear what he has to say about it. All right, here you go, baby. Your English muffins are on their way. Forgot to turn them on. If you want, you can serve these with some English muffins on the side. if you want to make your own English muffins, I have a video on how to do that. It makes delicious ones, and they keep for several days. They're really not hard at all. So I'll put a link to that in the comment section. All right, now I'm going to cook mine, and then I'll show you.
This is wonderful.
Can you say that a little louder?
It's wonderful.
So Paul's enjoying it, and I'll show you my finished plate in just a second. I want you to notice how perfect the shape is on that egg, and Paul said it was cooked perfectly too at 2 minutes. But look at the shape on that. These are the best poached eggs I have ever made. So I am going to donate my egg poaching pan, or maybe I'll just throw away the insides of it and use the little pan for some other kinds of things. This is the simplest and easiest way to cook poached eggs that I have ever run into, and it's a no-fool method. They didn't stick, they didn't overcook, they didn't look sloppy. I didn't break the yolks. I mean, everything about it was perfect and easy. Anyway, this is a delicious brunch, and as you saw, it's not really difficult to put together. A whole lot of the prep work could be done in advance, so you can put together something really spectacular looking and tasting in not very much time after church on a Sunday morning. All right, thanks a bunch. Thanks for stopping by my kitchen. We appreciate you.